No gold is not in her. She's a dime.
Welcome to another exciting edition of the $1 Million Peddlers. I'm Papergoy. Today, we're going to talk about the 3 problems that everyone has on eBay and Amazon and selling online. You may not have all 3, you may only have 2 of the 3, but I guarantee you the problems that you have come down to money, time, and space. That's really what it all comes down to. You don't have enough money to pull a deal. Some $50,000 deal comes along and you look at it and you say, oh my goodness, this is a deal of a lifetime, but you don't have $50,000 sitting around. Or deal of a lifetime comes along and it's only $5,000 and you've got so much stuff, but you don't have time to list it all. So then you start saying, I've got to get my $5,000 back out, which ties back into the problem of the money because you need to get the things out. So you start lotting things out just in order to turn it over quickly enough to pay back the credit card or the loan or whatever it was that you took to pay for the $5,000. And a third is space. Hey, you've got plenty of money so you don't have to get the money back quickly. And you've got plenty of time so you can sit there and you can list each of those items separately. But where are you going to put it at? Most of us don't live, in gigantic warehouses. So odds are you're going to have one of those 3 problems, or 2, or maybe all 3: money, time, and space. I'm blessed that I have a day job, so money is not a particular problem. But then again, I also go for small deals. Hopefully, when I'm going to an estate sale and I'm spending $20, hopefully I can afford to spend that $20 and not have to turn it over very, very quickly. But then I run into the problem, when am I going to find time to list it when I've got an entire garage full of stuff to list? And where am I going to put it at? Because I've got an entire garage that's pretty much filled up at this point. Now, of course, I blame the buyers, because they're not buying fast enough, but that's a whole nother issue. But that's what it all comes down to is money, time, and space. And you can solve some of them. Hey, I don't have enough space. I'm going to go buy a shed. Well, there you go. You've taken care of the space problem, but you've got to have the $1,500 to build the shed. Or, I'm going to buy myself a small warehouse. That's great. But now you've got the expenses of the warehouse, adds to the money. You've got the cost of the warehouse, the cost of the alarm system, the cost of the utilities. You're probably going to want internet over there, the cost of the internet, the cost of the additional computer, the cost of the gas going over there every single day, et cetera, et cetera. That also adds in time because now you're driving over to a separate location from your house. All that sort of thing. So that kind of adds into it as well. Hey, I need time. You know what I can do? I can hire an employee. Wonderful. Hire an employee. That will work. Now you've also got time invested in them, though, because you're going to want to train them, because the odds of you being able to find somebody for $10, $12 an hour that knows what they're doing from the start aren't very high, so you're going to have to train the people. So you're investing more time into them, but you're also investing money, because now you're paying them, $10 an hour, plus the unemployment, plus the workers' compensation, all that sort of thing. Plus you've got to follow all the employment laws and all that sort of thing. Wherever you're having them work at, is it a safe workplace? Because OSHA starts getting involved and all that sort of thing. So you've got a lot of issues there, money-wise, with hiring somebody. So that frees up your time so that you can do what you need to do, but it's also a huge step financially, because all of a sudden you have a very, very slow week and you don't sell anything on eBay, or very little on eBay, but meanwhile you're paying them $10 an hour for 40 hours. You've still got to come up with that $400 to pay them, plus the cost above it, the unemployment, et cetera, et cetera. So you've got to come up with $500, and you only did $300 worth of sale on eBay. Do you have the finances and the money to be able to withstand a week or 2 of that? Hopefully you do, but not everybody does, unfortunately. And that begins to get into crunch time there, where you're having trouble meeting payroll. Because eBay's real slow, or eBay's had a lot of glitches and people aren't shopping on eBay as much, or the stuff you're selling is more seasonal and, hey, great, I'm going to do great in Christmas time, but I can't hire somebody after Christmas to list stuff to sell at Christmas. So I've got to go make the investment and hire them in, August, September to be able to get the stuff in Christmas. But I've got to go 3, 4, 5 weeks without enough money coming in to be able to cover them. Do I have that money backed up to be able to do that? Hopefully you do, but I don't know. So money, time, and space, that pretty much is what every problem every eBayer has comes down to. It's one reason why, and I know a lot of people disagree with me, but it's one reason why I lot things out from time to time. I'll sit there and I'll look at them and I'll say, I just need to make the space. You know, I paid $5, I can lot it out and get 20. Yes, I can put it piecemeal out and get 50, but it's going to take a lot longer to sell. It takes up a lot of room. I'd rather just get the $20 back out of it. You know, after all my expenses, I double or tripled my money and it's gone, than hang on to every last item trying to get every last dime. But it's a mindset you have to get into. You have to kind of weigh things up. Now, if I bought a gigantic warehouse and I had nothing in it, well, then obviously I'm going to piecemeal that out and go for the long term on it. There are other times you get into that $5,000 collection and you need to pay it off rather quickly. You take a bunch of stuff, you wholesale it out, you call somebody else, and you know, hey, you flipped it for $6,000 and you kept the best stuff out of it. You're going to end up making $10,000, $12,000 when everything is said and done, but you could have made $50,000 if you had the money to wholesale it out over the long tail. I don't know what situation you're in. You need to sit down and look, but if you take everything and you break it into those three, money, time, and space, figure out what you have and figure out what you don't have and kind of work off of that. If you don't have the space, then you're going to want to wholesale stuff out or lot stuff out more often. If you don't have the money, you may need to do that. If you don't have the time, it's a lot easier to list a lot of 10 than it is to list 10 individual things. Or you may want to sit there and save things up and say, look, today is just postcard listing day because I don't have to change categories. And I've only got 2 postcards right now, but I'm going to put them aside and I'm going to wait. And in 3 months, I'm going to have 25 postcards, and then I can do, you know, a postcard listing for 2 hours and list them one by one by one, all that sort of thing. Another area that comes into is when you're out and about and you see something, and this has happened to me any number of times. I see something and I say, hey, that's priced right that I can make money, but how much of a project is it to sell? And there are times when I look at it and I say, geez, they want $25 on it, and I can probably sell it for $100, but it's going to take me half an hour, 45 minutes to list it right. And even then, I'm not sure if I'm going to list it right. And it's going to end up being a project to get it listed. It may take 2 hours to list it. I don't even know. Sometimes I'll walk by that item because that's when I look at it and I go, how much is my time worth? If it takes me 2 hours to list it, and I'm still not sure if I listed it right, or takes up a lot of space, or I'm going to pay the $25 and I'm just going to put it on a pile and never list it, then it may not be worth buying, even though you can possibly turn $25 into $200 because you're never going to end up listing it, and it just ends up taking up space. And then when the time comes to list it, you don't do a very good job of listing because you want to get rid of it, and you sell it for $60, and you end up not making hardly anything for your time to have purchased it. So you need to sit down and just keep money, time, and space in mind as you're doing things, and work off of those. Any luck, you're rich, you're retired, and you own a mansion. And if that's the case, then you don't need to worry about any of them. You just go and list whatever you want, your heart's content, and don't worry about it. But for everybody else, those are the three things that kind of come in the way of success. And you need to figure out how to overcome them as best you can, but always keep them in mind when you're making a deal, that everything comes down to those 3. Can you list it quickly? Can you flip it quickly? Or if you can't flip it quickly, is it valuable enough to go with a long tail? Because it will be taking up space until it does sell. So good luck to you, and we'll see you next video.